Hey bestie, and welcome to this interview for the Plopcast. As always, this podcast is 18 plus. This week we are speaking to Charles. If you have missed the announcements, Mondays will be the regular Plopcast and Thursdays will be the interviews. This week's interview we did with Charles, who goes by the fuckman on TikTok. I'm going to have his everything linked in the bio of this if you want to look him up. But we're talking about the incel pipeline, fuckboys, dating advice for the plobs, the incels, the fuckboys. Also, it's good dating advice in general. You don't have to be an incel to listen, but it's to prevent people from going down the incel pipeline. He does a lot of stuff on TikTok about fuckboys and preventing them from going down the incel pipeline. I talk about plobs after they've already gone down it or they're recovering from it. So we did an interview talking about different things that we've both covered before, including advice to prevent men, plobs, or female plobs, femcells, whatever you want to call them, from going down that pipeline, and just some good dating advice in general for anybody in the nerdy, maybe you're struggling with dating, no matter what the reason is. So I'm going to jump right into that interview and start playing it. So it'll start here in a second, and he'll be introducing himself, and then we'll get right into the interview. Also, one last thing, just a reminder, if you would like to do an interview, once again, I cover anybody who's had experiences, plobs, gaming, fandom, military, emergency room, quinky space, just exploring all the different parts of fandom that in our different kinds of plobs we all have to deal with. Get regular people's perspectives on it. So just reach out to me, either email or DM me. So let's get into the interview.
Experience or just advice for, the young guys that are kind of on the edge of like incel territory, because you got to get them young. Otherwise, once they're in like predatory territory, say that 10 times fast.
All right.
Once you're there, once they get a taste for blood, so to speak, there's no fixing that, right? So you've got to get them young. So that's kind of what I do. The other installment I do is where I'm, quote-unquote, white-splaining things to white people that just kind of don't get it yet.
Like the hollaback girl? Oh my god. Sorry, every time I hear white-splaining, I will never forget the Hollaback Girl song, because I was the only white person that knew what the reference was, and I would constantly have people be like, what's that mean? What's a Hollaback Girl? And I'm like, it's not, oh my god. It's not.
Yeah, but it's basically I dumb things down because it's this isn't an inherently racist or bigoted thing, but most people are more likely to listen to their own kind. So it's
yes.
Fuck, if you don't actually want to listen to minorities, at least listen to me. So
yeah, I've covered that on my page a few times too, because being from a mixed race family, for example, when I talked about the Tulsa Massacre and stuff, more people listen to me than my cousin who's made videos, who is as a black man has made videos, because nobody wants, they don't want to freaking listen, which is stupid, because I mean, that's one of the fuckboy things I wanted to talk about here in a second, was how you will see guys will take these dating courses, and it's always from a single dude who is paying OF models to pretend that he slept with them. If you wanted real advice on being in a serious relationship, you go to the guy who's been married 50 years or something, or go to the women themselves. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. On that topic, yesterday Ashley and I celebrated 10 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I just celebrated 11 in August.
Yeah. But here's the thing, full disclosure, and I think I've said this somewhere in my videos before, but I haven't been in a relationship outside of my wife in over 3 years. I'm polyamorous, right?
Same.
But, I'm not actively looking, so my personal skills and lived experience is pretty limited, but even then, I'm still here giving dating advice, or at the very least teaching guys how to take an L.
So Lord, I know so many people who are poly. It's not just me and you, but so many people that stop looking because of the chaos of current dating, and I help a lot of friends who are single go through it, and it's so crazy. I'm constantly getting messages from guys wanting me to go over it. I actually taught a class many years ago, so I went to the card shop. All these losers were listening to some incel podcast, and I was like, man, this is stopping right now. Over the next 8 weeks, every single Friday Night Magic, I would teach them different things. Every single one of the 17 men that were in that went from, most of them were virgins who had never dated at all, or they'd only had limited dating experience because, well, it's Magic the Gathering. I can't say nothing, I blame myself, but and every single one of them ended up in a long-term happy relationship, except for one who didn't want a long-term relationship. He was actually in med school, but he did end up with like a few casual relationships after that. And it was so crazy because they've been listening to those podcasts for years and not having any success. I'm like, yeah, well, you're listening to a fuckboy who's paying OF models to pretend like they slept with him,
Yeah. Is that usually the case?
Yes.
Like where they're just hanging out with OF models and...
Yes. Almost every single one of these guys that you see that gives like the bad dating advice and claims that he's an alpha male and all that crap, you will find that the women he posts with are OF models every time. Like, it is always OF models. Or
I don't seek out their content, so I guess I wouldn't know.
I have people tag me in it because of the Plob series. They'll be like, look at this one. And it's like, there's a one guy, oh gosh, what is his name? I can't think of it. He went viral for his dumbass things. He was like talking about how the female orgasm isn't real and women are supposed to do all this different stuff, and he's an alpha male, and his wife ended up divorcing him. And then was throwing a fit because he was like, yeah, and women need to do all the work around the house, but also they need to split the bills 50-50 because it's 2025. And it's like, what the fuck? Sir, this is...
Okay, valid, but where's your 6-figure salary?
Well, no, that's the problem, is he wants to split all of the bills halfway and not split any of the housework. He still wants the woman to do all the housework while splitting the bills. And it's like, no, either you do all the bills and she does the housework, or, she does all the bills and you do all the housework, or you do a 50-50 split. But you can't expect one person to do 100% of the work at home while still paying 50% and still going to work. Like,
no.
Oh, Lord, I have seen so much stuff like that. And also, just to debunk that myth, the female orgasm is real. I'm not sure where the fuck that guy was like, the female orgasm doesn't exist. I'm like, sir.
But it's only real if you know where the clit is.
What I think is funny when guys say that, it's just like they're basically just being like, oh, I can't please a woman. You're just telling the entire internet how sad and miserable your wife is. Like, yeah. And then you're shocked that she's divorcing you.
All you have to do is ask.
That's one thing I talked about in the class that I want to talk about in here is communication. And this is for the ladies too. I know a lot of, I'm not trying to come for you. I'm just being honest. We have to ban faking orgasms, because here's the thing about that is if you sit there, now imagine you're at work and you get a new task and you're told, hey, just do this task. You figure out a way to do that task. You're doing it. Your boss keeps saying, oh, that's a great task. Like, you're doing great work. You're going to keep doing the exact same thing because you think you're doing great work. Because you're being told you're doing great work, even if you're completely messing it up. So instead, you need to have that communication. Don't fake orgasms, please, because that just leads to the problem.
That is like one of my biggest deal breakers. It's like, here's the thing, I can tell if you're faking, and if you fake it, I will lose your number so fucking fast. Like, I don't tolerate it at all.
Yeah, there's no shame in asking. And I know some guys, well, like I said, I've met guys who've had 4 or 5 girlfriends, and then they get to their 6th girlfriend, and they're like, oh, she doesn't like it in bed, and she's finally like, and she's saying this. And then you go and talk to the other women, and they're like, oh, yeah, I just faked it. That's what. And it's like, well, no wonder he thought he was doing it right. You told him to do that. Like, you can't. Yeah,
do you want to come or not?
Right? You have to communicate. You need. Also, I know some men are like, oh, well, it's embarrassing to. No, it's not. Especially because even if there's something that your other partner did genuinely like, it could be different for the next person. Every single person's different. Also, this is your reminder that the G-spot and the cervix are not the same thing. Quick run back for those of you who didn't listen to that episode a few weeks ago. We had a man who thought that the cervix and the G-spot was the same thing and that you were just supposed to repeatedly ram the cervix.
No.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of women that actually like their cervix getting touched at all.
Exactly. I have a friend who's a severe masochist, and she was like, even she wouldn't want to do that.
No.
Yeah, the cervix is pain.
You gotta be able to sit the next day.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, imagine, I always tell people, I'm like, imagine somebody just repeatedly rams your balls, okay? You might that's kind of the equivalent there. Like it's not a pleasant thing. The cervix and the G spot are two different things. Keep in mind, this man was almost 40, and he was.
The cervix and the G spot's not the same, obviously, but I've heard from a few folks that there is a spot around the cervix that's about as pleasurable as a G spot. Is that the case?
So there are people who, if you have a tilted uterus, some of that same nerves that come from the G spot can be tilted a little bit towards the cervix. So it's technically still the G spot. It's just, it depends on anatomy, which is another thing that comes into why it's important to talk to your partners, is to have that conversation, because different anatomy, like every vagina is not the same, just like every penis is not the same. So figuring out where it is, for example, you could have somebody whose G spot's in one place, and then you're used to that, or then get the next partner, it's actually higher up or lower, whatever the case may be. It just depends on how. Also, another thing, please, oh my gosh, I saw this fuckboy earlier that was giving dating advice on TikTok, and I about wanted to pull my hair out, because he was talking about how he doesn't understand how people go down on their girlfriends if they don't like wax everything. And then he proceeds to explain how he was eating pussy, because I'm like, what? And he was eating the outside. Sir, that's not doing anything.
I mean, you could do that as like a tease in like the beginning.
Yeah, but he was like, that's how he legitimately eats pussy, though. It's not like foreplay. Yeah, he thought you were supposed to just like lick and suck the outside of the skin. And I'm like, that's not. Nope. What?
You're better off grabbing her thigh until she comes.
Like, it is. Oh my gosh, the misinformation. There's a song too. Another reminder: you don't come out of your bladder. It was viral on TikTok. Some of y'all might have heard this. That "Slut Me Out" song. I like the song, except for there's one part in it where he says, "I don't come quick because I control my bladder." You don't come out of your bladder. That's piss, sweetie.
No.
Yeah.
Like, the pelvic floor has a lot to do with orgasms and even holding your orgasms back, but that's not the same fucking thing.
There are women that
the pelvic floor is like the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, there's a thing where women will hold their bladder because it causes more sensation due to the not inflame. Why am I saying it pushes on the nerves because it makes less space, right? So it's gonna cause a little bit more sensation, but that's also one of the things you have to be very careful with, because that can cause UTIs. But once again, you're still not coming from your bladder. Like, that's a different thing. Yeah, I'm really worried that guy's going around pissing in people.
Yeah, doesn't putting like your hand on her lower abdomen, like, doesn't that basically do
the lower abdomen? Yes, having that extra pressure. And on top of that, the other thing is the pillow trick. So if you're doing missionary style and you're just going in, you're not going to be hitting the G-spot properly because there is that curve. So putting one pillow under her ass tilts it just enough so that your dick, for an average size dick, I know if you've got something massive going on, that's a whole other conversation.
No, I'm not that special.
But it presses, it'll make it so you're pressing up against the G-spot every time.
Yeah.
It's why the reason why you'll see women or men too, whenever they're getting pegged or something, their back will come off up in the air. That arch is what causes it, just like with the prostate, that arch. One of the my first question I wanted to get into for the interview is what is the biggest mistake you see these fuckboy plobs do that really fucks them over? Hold on, how do I explain this? What is like the biggest thing that you see, the biggest mistake you see, where they just completely burn whatever bridge they had, whatever chance they had?
Right. My thing, so here's the thing. I understand that a lot of women, they like that dominance, they like that control, but the reality is, like, when you're initiating things, you want to give her an out, and a lot of ways that guys approach women, it doesn't give her a safe out. Like, for example, hey, can I get your number, or can I get your socials? And once they have them, well, what are you going to do? Block the guy? He's just going to create a new account, right? Um, the approach that I usually advise is, let's say I wanted to get your number or get your socials, right? What I would do is like, hey, here's my number, here's my socials, and this would be around the end of the conversation, like kind of like a doorknob confession. Like
Yeah.
basically, hey, before I go, here's my contacts, and then I'm gonna leave. That way, um,
You don't feel
you can
trapped.
turn it
Yeah,
for
that
all I
is.
care, right? I'm giving you that out. I'm letting you know that interest, right? But a lot of guys, it's like, hey, can I get your number? And then they do that thing where they're gonna take your number and they're gonna text it right away to make sure it's you.
Yeah, that is super.
Like,
Oh my gosh, it's super awkward when people do that.
and they could really fucking like you, but that
Exactly.
imposing energy way too early is gonna fuck you over.
Exactly. I've seen that mistake so many times. That's why I've always recommended the same thing, is giving the other person, like giving her the socials rather than putting that pressure. And don't look it up immediately, especially because there's some women who will give a fake number if they just don't feel comfortable. And it's a lot less awkward to, realize that on your own time than be standing right there, and then you've put yourself in an awkward position. And especially if you're somewhere like a bar or an event, you're going to have people around, and now instead of
intoxicated people around.
Yeah, it's just going to be worse. It's makes the whole situation awkward. Also, oh gosh, please stop, for the love of God, doing TikTok trends in real life. So you will see these like thirst trap videos, right? You'll see thirst trap videos, and I've seen men who will try to do those thirst trap kind of moves in person, and it's kind of like when you watch a superhero movie. So you know how they'll say like cool catchphrases? They'll sound cool in a movie, but somebody saying it in real life just sounds really cringy. Like the mafia boss stuff. The mafia boss in a movie seems really cool. But if you come up and you're like, I'm the you fucking do Tofia's move. If I'm the mob boss,
That would work if you're role playing in bed, sure. But
but to just come on to somebody, that's for bedroom stuff. That's for sexy talk. That is not for approaching somebody like that.
Yeah.
But I've seen it. I've seen the weirdness.
One time I did use the line, "Hey bitch, you want some fuck?" But like that was not a pickup line. That was we already knew each other, and that kind of talk was 100% acceptable in the circumstances,
Yeah, that's another thing is don't get too comfortable before it is time to get comfortable. I've seen that mistake a lot. Also, please don't bathe in cologne. That's another. So we talk a lot on my channel about people not bathing, right? Not the plebs that don't bathe and stuff. But then you have the other end of the spectrum that will douse themselves in half a bottle of cologne every single time. Gosh, I knew a guy like this that his cologne was so strong. It was when I was working at the hospital. And there was this one giant area. He would walk in and you could smell him all the way across the way. You always knew when Justin was there because the smell. So please find a medium, because yes, that's another thing is every guy I've ever met that does this, when I ask them, they say, oh, well, it's because women like people who smell good. And that's true. Your cologne can be a starter alone. Like you're picking a good cologne can be your foot in the door by itself, but it's using it properly that is the issue.
Yeah. It's kind of like spicy food. Like you got to have some flavor to it. You can't just overpower it with heat.
Yeah, you can't just like throw a bunch of ghost peppers in your mouth.
No.
That's not going to be great.
It's just painful. I mean, like there was this one woman I was seeing, like she had so much perfume on, like you could taste it,
Yeah. I have an ex-girlfriend that was like that. I had to have the conversation. I'm like, it smells nice. It doesn't smell nice. 6 pounds of it on you.
More chemicals than a doll. I would never say that out loud. That's cruel, but accurate,
Right? Here's a big one that's going to piss some people off. Another thing I see with what leads to not getting a second hookup. If you are somebody who is doing friends with benefits or something, one thing that can lead to not having a second hookup is sex should not be ending just because you came. There's in society, a lot of people consider it oh, sex is over when the guy comes. And it's like, no, you can use your hands. There's what toys are for. And here's the thing is somebody, almost every woman I've ever asked would prefer to have a guy who accidentally comes quickly because he's not got all the experience or whatever the case may be, and then still continues to make sure she gets off, than have a guy that can go for a really long time and doesn't get her off.
Yeah, I mean, here's my problem. Like, after I'm done, like, I'm done. Like, physically, I'm done. So, like, unless you've got toys handy, my best course of action is to kind of hold myself off as long as I can until you're done. Because otherwise, once I'm done, I'm done.
See, and that's where a lot of that second...
So it's like, I'm guilty of that, but I do what I can with that situation, you know what I mean?
That's why we have fingers, toys. That's why I always tell women, I hate when guys are intimidated by toys, because it's like, buddy, that is not your competition. That is your partner. That is your tap-in buddy there.
Right? For me, if you're not into toys, I'm sorry, that's a deal breaker.
I feel like everybody, I mean, hell.
Like if you don't do toys at all, it's like, this isn't gonna work.
That's another thing. I've seen people consider toys cheating, and I'm like, what? Once again, it's not your competition. It's your helper. It's your extra, your buddy.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I've actually met women with that mindset as well. It's not
just
guys.
I've met women and men with that.
Like, I've met women who will see you as lesser than if you like toys. Like, they think they're better than you.
Exactly. Yeah. Lord. That's another thing I want to talk about with the fuckboys and porn. Porn for a second. So, I don't consider porn cheating. As long as it's not somebody we personally know. That's a whole different thing. Like, it'd be weird.
Emotional attachment.
Yeah, even though I'm poly, like, there's still cheating in polyamory and stuff because consent and conversations need to be had and all that. But, with the porn thing is, I have no problem with porn, but there has become a large, with the incel community, and, we've seen stuff with, like, groypers and all that stuff, but, a level of addiction with it, and that's... And all these guys talking about how they have to take supplements before the age of 40, which means there's something medically wrong at that point, because it is not normal. Which, here's the thing: a lot of guys think that if they jerk off enough, they're gonna last longer. And yeah, busting one before you do something can help, but if you are consistently jerking off to porn so much that it's you're talking multiple times a day and stuff, it can actually cause you to have ED earlier. You can get erectile dysfunction
because, like, there's a lot of folks that if you get off the same way every time, you're desensitized to every other means of having an orgasm.
And that can also happen with women too.
Like, the closest your partner's gonna get to getting you off is giving you a hand job.
Yep.
I mean, a hand job's nice, but, like, you could be fucking. You could be getting or giving head.
There
but
is.
Now you can't get off to that because you conditioned yourself.
Yeah, there is a side to it also with women. They've noticed women who obsessively masturbate with things like rose toys and stuff, which is nothing wrong with it. I'll fully admit I've got 3 different ones because they're different colors. Okay, I like purple, and if it's purple, I'm gonna buy it. There's some things I have in my house that I don't even have use for, and I'm like, it's purple, so I'm buying it. But the thing is if they overuse it, it can actually desensitize your nerves in your clit, and can cause issues. There are women so a lot of people, when they think of, like, vaginoplasties and surgery for down there, they think, oh, it's just, somebody who's been a prostitute or somebody that does OF or something. But there are regular women who have had to get work done down there because they have desensitized themselves so much. Like I said, masturbation is healthy. Looking at porn is fine and stuff. It's just knowing anything can be addictive. For example, I drink soda. Drinking a couple sodas a day is not the end of the world. But if I drank 30 of them, I might go into diabetic coma, got to know your limits.
You got to think, like, I don't know if you've ever done construction or whatever, but when you're using power tools all day with all the vibration from the tools, that hurts your hand.
Yes.
Or your hand can go numb. And you do that often enough, you can get like hand tremors, you can get nerve damage.
It can
and
cause
that's
circulation
just from
issues too.
vibration. Oh, absolutely. Like your hands will go like pale or even blue, right? So imagine that happening to your genitals.
Yep.
Like, they're well, they are different. They're more sensitive to these things, so it is so easy to fuck it up.
Another thing that I see a lot of fuckboys and plobs do is with the porn, they think porn is real, and then they try to do things with porn, from porn. So that thing that you saw in a porno might have looked super hot, but what you did not see is off screen the prep work that was done for that. That is why it's so important to have these conversations. Like, especially, I've noticed a lot of guys with anal. That's the big one, is people thinking, oh, you can just slide that. No. You can cause tearing. You can cause a prolapse. Rectum. Yeah.
Take your fucking time.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on behind screen. Especially with things like douching and stuff, too. There's a lot of prep. Just look up, like, any OF model, whether it's a man or a woman, and they will talk about how all of this prep work happens off screen. That's why it looks so easy online, like when you're watching a video. There's some stuff that looks like super fun and could be, your partner could be interested in that, but there needs to be conversations. There needs to be prep work. Safety steps is a big thing.
Even if you wanna rush prepping, you still need to take at least a half hour, and that's rushing.
Yeah, and that's another thing is a lot of people are like, oh, but I went to the bathroom earlier, so I don't, she doesn't really need to do. Sir, you're gonna end up with so much shit on your dick.
Yeah.
Like,
that's your thing, but
right? Like, unless that's you're into scat, 2 girls, 1 cup.
Yeah.
Some people liked that one. That's
yeah, no.
Another thing with porn is I've met a lot of men who. Now, I do actually know someone who married, she actually runs a game shop now. She married one of her OF subscribers. That is one thing that, and I'm not trying to, like, ruin dating for OF people. None of that. Like, I do Dommy work on there, so, like, it's not that. But it's something to keep in mind is a lot of it is fake and over-exaggerated. Because her and a few other people I know who have dated their subscribers or gotten with their subscribers can no longer look at porn properly because they find out it's fake, because now they're hearing what she actually sounds like in bed, not the crap that, putting on a show online. So just a prime example of how fake it is, because there's a lot of people who are like, oh, this is so hot. And it's like, buddy, it's fake. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's still fine. You can jerk off to it all you want. It's just to keep in mind that a lot is fake. There's a lot of this prep work, stuff like that. Like,
it's like an action movie.
Yeah.
The fighting's fake. The choreography's bullshit. No, they don't clear houses like that.
Right. They're not. This isn't like one of the situations where it's like, oh, if I cut the red wire, I'm gonna disarm the bomb because I saw it in a movie. Please don't do that.
Yeah, that's how you die.
Right. It's like the guys who were like, well, I'd be perfect in the army because I play Call of Duty all the time. And like, the military is nothing like Call of Duty.
Yeah, and I bet you'd punch the drill instructor, too.
Speaking of, I was majorly insulted the other day. So, I've had accusations. Once again, I was not a drill sergeant. I was a chemical equipment specialist. But my attitude apparently gives off drill sergeant, and I get those comments all the time. Anytime I talk about being a veteran, somebody will be like, oh, you were probably a drill sergeant, right? You went drill at somebody. I'm like, no. But the other day I had a Marine combat drill sergeant guess that I went. He was like, oh, I bet you went drill at some point. Just call me a bitch, okay? At that point, just call me a bitch, dear God. And he was so genuine with it. He wasn't joking. A combat Marine drill instructor looked me in my fucking face and was like, oh, let me guess your MOS. I bet you went drill at one point. That you might as well just call me a fucking cunt at that point. Like, it's like that audio on TikTok that's like, I think I prefer you call me a slur. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Question, would you rather be called a slur, or would you rather be accused of stolen valor?
Slur. Oh, I've been accused of stolen valor before. Funny story. This was a few months after I was on the news. So I've been on the news twice related to my service. And what's funny is, that one group of trolls that had been harassing me and making up all this shit about me because I had outed their pedophile friend, they said I was doxing them by putting his where he was on the sex offender registry online. They're saying I was doxing them by putting that, and I'm like, shut the fuck up! It doesn't even have the address on there. But yeah, they liked
him. Family Watchdog did.
Right? They, all this bullshit of, they like to make up stuff, and we've been over this, like, they make up so much random ass shit. It's insane at this point. I can't even keep up. At one point, they spread a rumor saying I was related to Chris Chan. Then they said I was related to Lily Tino, and just all kinds of bullshit, right? All kinds of crap. They made up something about my kid who wasn't even born when the video was made. They've made up all kinds of things, right? Well, one of the things they had made up, oh my gosh, there's so much. But one of them was the stolen valor. They said, oh, well, I bet you're not really in the military. And I'm like, so here's my 100% disabled veteran. Here's the 2 news stories where they show pictures of me serving. Here's my stack of awards. Here's my GI letter, Bill, because at that point I was in college at the time. Like, all this, no. But and it's funny because they did that and the military community came for them. They were like, oh, hell no. Because I have a lot of friends that are still active duty, a lot of family, and I'm friends with a lot of large military creators, and we were like sitting on Discord, and I was letting them know what's going on, and all of a sudden other military creators fans were coming for their asses. And they had to private their account at one point for it because they were getting harassed for, their lies. And they blamed me. They were like, oh, this is your fault. I didn't send anybody after you. You decided to play the fuck around and find out game. I'm telling you, the military community is not a community you want to fuck with. A lot of us are mentally fucked. We will make 10 burner accounts. Well, I don't because I don't have time, but like make burner accounts to keep going on your ass.
Yeah, and it's the same way up here in Canada. Like, yeah, no, there's some serious social consequences for stolen valor. Like, it's very much bad for your dental health up here as well.
Oh yeah, stolen valor is a felony here.
Oh, it's a felony here, or well, it's an indictable offense up here. But yeah, no, I'm just talking social consequences alone. Like, it blows my mind that people will still do it.
Yeah,
like,
and that's the thing is,
you could very well likely get your shit rocked,
Exactly, and that's another thing. Like I said, coming for an actual veteran was our problem there because they had falsely accused me of stolen valor because they were just making up shit at the time about me, and because that's the only way they can make views. I've gone over this before. If you click most popular on their page, the only videos they've ever gotten views on are the ones making up shit about me. They never get views on any of their actual content. They'll get like 3 likes from their family members. But yeah, they had falsely accused me of stolen valor, just making up shit. And so I just reposted the fucking news article where they had gone over my service and stuff. And next thing I know, the military community was coming for their ass. They're like, yeah, stolen valor is very serious. And the fact that you are lying about a real veteran, yeah, they were not happy. And the funny thing is, one of them is the kind that has posted, oh, I can't go into the service because I'd punch a drill sergeant. And it's like, right? I want to see you do it. Do it.
Has that ever actually happened?
No. I mean, there might be one case somewhere. I promise it didn't end well for him, though. But I would love to see that. I would love to see someone try because I want to watch them get their asses laid out. That I feel like it would be hilarious. New mentions. Oh gosh, what was I gonna say? Another fuckboy thing. Isn't just the military. It's the don't lie about your job. Don't lie about your job. Oh my gosh, that is a big thing I see plobs do. They will resume their jobs, if is the way to put it. So when you're doing your resume, if you worked at GameStop, you put it in fancy words to make it seem like you did important good work and stuff, right? Which is fine on the resume as long as you're naming off things that you've actually done. You're just rephrasing them in a way that makes it sound fancier, right? But then some guys will do that with actual work when they're introducing themselves, and it makes you seem narcissistic.
Yep. And another thing, I've seen this with a few people because I've seen a lot of women in their bios basically saying like certain occupations swipe left. Like that, like usually like, hey, if you're law enforcement or something like that, swipe left. Sometimes it's like more niche occupations are like swipe left. Don't lie about that shit. She's gonna find out later.
Exactly.
If you want to hide your occupation because she'd block your ass anyways, like why would you approach that?
Exactly. I hate the whole.
Thing.
I hate any form of catfishing, because catfishing nowadays isn't just looks, it's personality, it's interests and stuff. If you have to pretend to be somebody else to go on a date with somebody, then you're not going to work out in the long run, because eventually, yourself is going to come out, and that goes for both sides. Don't pretend to be somebody else. Don't pretend to have fake hobbies. Don't pretend to be interested in stuff that the other person's interested in that you're not actually interested in.
Yeah.
I've seen so much of that in the incel community too. Like they'll give each other tricks and tips in there, on how to get women, and a lot of it's lying. And it's like, don't lie. Like, for the love of God, don't lie. It's really that easy, just to be honest. Like, oh gosh. If you want to go ahead, some more fuckboy things that you've seen within the community.
One thing, and this is less about how to approach women and stuff like that, but I teach the younger guys, like, hey, if she says she's on the pill, don't believe her necessarily. Like, you should still wrap it up.
You should still be wrapping it up either ways. If you're not married, you should be wrapping it up, because you never know.
Oh, absolutely. Like, this is actually my first girlfriend. I used the advice that my mom gave me when I was like, I think 11 or 12. This is when she gave me the talk. She's like, listen, you always wrap it up, even if she's on the pill, unless you see her take the pill out of the foil, put it in her mouth.
It's not just that. There's things that can counteract it. Half the girls on 16 and pregnant, it's because they were on antibiotics at some point.
Yep.
And so,
if you're over 140 pounds, it stops working.
Yep. Well, no. You're thinking of the day after pill. The day after pill is the one that you have to take 2 if you're over 140 pounds. Regular birth control pill, they base it off of your weight. So yes, the regular birth control would work for people who are plus size.
Okay. Thanks for the correction there. But what I tell them, and again, like, this isn't something you can impose on someone. It's the same thing, like, hey, let me see your phone to make sure you're not cheating. Well, if she's cheating, she's gonna be sneaky, right? Besides, it makes you look controlling. Well, it is controlling, right? So it's not something you're gonna impose on your girlfriend. Like, hey, I want to see you take the pill every single day, at the exact same hour every day. But unless she's willing to do that, wrap that shit up. Because, like, my first girlfriend, she stayed over for the weekend, and she's like, yeah, I'm on the pill. And again, taking my mom's advice, I still wrapped it up. When she left on Sunday, I started cleaning my room, and I noticed a little pill on the floor. And I'm like, hey, babe, what's this? And she's like, oh, that's my birth control pill. I'm like, oh, the one you took this morning? She's like, yeah, I must have forgot.
That's another thing, is forgetting. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry,
you don't forget.
I'll tell you right now, I do. It's not that I'm not on the pill. Because of that exact reason, because I don't want to fit. I do NuvaRing, but I have Crohn's injections, and because of my ADHD, I've forgotten my injections until I'm in a flare the next day, and I'm like, oh, I might die. That's fun. So, like, forgetting is valid. I can get the forgetting. But that's another thing is even when you're, being super responsible stuff, if you forget and you take it, like, with the pill, it's very particular. If you take it, like, a couple hours later or something, it could still have issues and not work. Like, there's so much. That's why I tell people, like, the pill is probably the least effective out of all birth control, to be honest. If we're talking about medication birth control, by the way.
It's like the free fun of the pharmaceutical world.
It's what now?
Type 3 fun, all risk, no reward.
Basically, birth control can work, but it's birth control pills can work, but it is like the pill is the most complicated out of all of them because you have to take it at the exact same time, and there's several different medications, not just antibiotics, that can overdo it, like override it basically. So that's why I always tell people there's so many other options. There's the NuvaRing, which does not hurt. It, it's something that you put inside you, but not like inside like an injection or a IUD or something. I always suggest doing the other stuff because it's a lot more effective. You don't have to sit there and worry. The patch, then the shot. That's the thing about the shot is you can only be on the shot for so long at a time. There are people who don't know that, and they'll be on it for years. And I'm like, why didn't your doctor say something? Like, especially male doctors. A lot of male doctors don't know that. There's so many women who found out.
They're so obsessed with when your last period was, but they miss these little details about the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
You're good. I was gonna say something else about the shot. Oh, that's there's a lot of male doctors that don't bother to check, and I think you're only supposed to be on it for like a year or two. I can't remember. And then stop, and you can go back on it a few years later, but you're not supposed to stay on that regularly. It's also important to educate yourself in general on birth control. For example, with the NuvaRing, I've had so many people not know that you leave it in during sex, and they will literally take it out during sex. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh yeah, I take it out to have sex. I'm like, that's not how that works. No, you leave it in. You just took away the birth control, ma'am. Like, like, what do you mean you took it out? Oh God, that doesn't even make any sense.
No, like, you may as well forget the pill on the floor.
Like, that blows my mind how many people think you're supposed to remove the NuvaRing during sex.
Mm-hmm.
Also, doubling up with a lot of birth control is not this 100% effective way. I've seen people who they'll forget their birth control and then double up, and that's another reason why the pill is so dangerous. Is that doesn't work. That's a debunked myth about the whole doubling up thing. Just like the day after pill, it's up to 72 hours. It's not going to work 3 weeks later when you find out you're pregnant. I don't know where the heck that came from, but there's a lot of people who think.
It's because there's still that rhetoric going around. Like, I think it's still going around.
Of people thinking it's an abortion pill, which is a whole different thing.
Yeah, no. And here's the thing, it might not even work within 72 hours because once that fertilized egg gets implanted, like once it's embedded in the uterus, it's over. And that could happen in 24 hours. So
that's not how the day after pill works. So the day after pill, if you're getting an actual day after pill, I don't know what they have in Canada. Do they have Plan B and stuff there?
Yeah, it's called Plan B.
So it is, as long as you're doing it for your weight, it is 99% effective. Your egg is not fully fertilized for several days. So even if it is started to attach, it can still come right off. So that's why I say 72 hours. We've got that's what I saw that so much working in the hospitals, people not knowing exactly how birth control works and doing the things like doubling up or not knowing the 140 pounds or thinking, oh, it's been a day, so I can't. It does work up to 72 hours. It's 99% effective as long as it's not fully. That's why they say 72 hours, because realistically it can sometimes work a little bit past 72 hours, depending on, if it's gotten there yet or not. But if it's slightly in there, it'll still work. It just, if you are fully, it's been a week and you've now fully fertilized, then yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah. A little self-correction there. That's what I originally meant. I just thought that the egg embedding, I thought that could happen within 72 hours. But yeah.
So it can start to get attached, but it's not fully in there. But yeah, like I said, once it's fully in there, you're just screwed at that point. That's why it depends on how your body reacts, how quickly things go. There are people that have taken the day after pill 4 or 5 days later and it still worked for them just because things were just moving a little bit slower in there. I know especially with PCOS, I've had a lot of the women I see that say it still worked 4 or 5 days later is because they're PCOS. And they took it just in case because they forgot. That's another thing, is reminding yourself. Oh, anybody who's buying one, please, for the love of God, don't go to like Rite Aid or the pharmacy or something. Costco has them for $5. They have them for $5, and then You can get some off of Amazon for $6. What now?
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
Is this the Plan B or is it generic?
It's the generic brand, but it's the exact same thing. If you read the ingredients, it's basically like if you go to the pharmacy and you have a Bentyl prescription and they give you dicyclamine. It's the same thing. Every single ingredient, every single component. It's just Plan B is the parent, is a name of the company. So Plan B is not the actual name of the medicine, it's the name of the company.
Yeah. Is this just for America? Because I'm looking up Plan B, and all I'm getting is books and
I wonder. Hold on.
like vitamins.
Hold on. Let me check.
Pro B, probiotic feminine supplement.
So I'm going to do this while we're talking. That way somebody, that if anybody needs to look it up. Look up My Way Emergency Contraception. And see if that shows up for you. They even have overnight options with Amazon. Now, I prefer to keep some on hand just in case. But you can also get them overnighted. You can get a 6-pack for $25. And then they have another brand that's $8 for one. They even have like a subscription. There's also, so My Way is one of them. My Choice. Is it showing up for you in Canada?
All I'm getting is books. I'm getting, okay, the Complete Emergency Contraception Guide.
Oh, wow. That-
Okay, let's see if it comes with the pill or something. Maybe it's one of those, you know, when Elon Musk was selling the not a flamethrower? Maybe they're just selling books that comes with a pill inside. I don't know. Maybe it's a plausible.
It says in Canada that they have, so you guys have Plan B over the counter in Canada, which means you should have it there.
Yeah.
On Amazon. That's so weird. Here, I have an idea. I'm going to send you this while we're talking. I'm going to send it over to your phone. So, for those listening, maybe it depends on the country you're in with that. I know, like I said, Costco has it for $5. That is so weird that Canada possibly isn't showing it. That's, I've never heard. You'd think Canada, of all places, would be more progressive on that, you know?
No, but we've got a lot of regulations concerning who can sell drugs and stuff like that, and I guess, well, let me just look something up.
Yeah, but that brand is basically like, that's another thing, is there's multiple brands of emergency contraceptive. It's like buying Tylenol versus acetaminophen. They're both acetaminophen. Tylenol's the brand.
Yeah, so I just looked up Midol, and it's like, yeah, it shows up. You can buy Midol on Amazon, so you can get drugs, over-the-counter drugs there. So
that's
sure
so
why
weird. Canada's on some weird stuff.
You can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can still hear you.
Yeah, no,
So I guess we learned something new.
yeah, so now that I'm on the US one, I'm looking at it. No import charges and $2.84 shipping to Canada. Okay, so it can ship to Canada, but I have to go to the US Amazon.
Okay, so it's kind of like there's certain things in Japan that you have to go to the Japanese Amazon and then send it here. So yes, if anybody's listening, if you're in a country that does not show up automatically, you can try to do that workaround and see if it shows up on the US one and still able to ship.
Yep. You know, there was a time that you could get like a Taser X2 on Amazon if you use the US link.
Oh, wow.
Cool, like not the little Taser pulses that you can like fit in your purse. I'm talking like the Taser
A full on.
Yeah, $1,400.
Whew, that's a lot. Well, I mean, I guess it's being imported over, so.
And that's just the Taser. That's not the cartridges.
Holy crap! Yeah, that's one thing. I've bought tasers for women at the shelter, and I usually spend maybe $15, and it's like a good, nice one because I'll buy them in bulk. It's crazy to think of that price difference. Oh, since we're already at 50 minutes, we'll end with some more fuckboy and plob dating tips. That way we could go ahead and get that in before the end of the call. So we went over the cologne. We went over the being too forward. We went over, it is okay. So I mentioned earlier, not lying, right? But there's also, as I said earlier, with the comfortableness, it's important to ease into your comfortability. There are things that a lot of people can perceive different things different ways. For example, I went over the Plob story where the guy had the whole like doomsday prepper stuff and was pissing in bottles in his house and stuff. For example, she had talked about she did a little bit of prep and stuff, but nothing like that. And I think that's where it's important to prevent that disconnect, to see what things mean to you. So some people, if I say I like anime and somebody else says they like anime, that's a very broad, open to interpretation. I have 4 pop walls, like my walls are covered in pops. I collect Loungefly, I cosplay, I'm looking at a Shigaraki mat, I meet voice actors, I go to conventions. Then there's
me, I just watch.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to have those discussions, because I've seen a lot of nerdy guys, a lot of plobs who they'll be into gaming and everything too, but then they get they're and it's not a problem to be super into it. They get more than excited, they're sitting there going on and not, they're acting kind of like an elitist, if that makes sense. It's okay to not be in, and honestly, at the end of the day, that is one thing I do recommend to people is when it comes to finding a partner for long term, you want to have, this is so important, you want to have things in common, but you also want to have things that you don't both enjoy. Because if you are the same on every single thing, you're going to be up each other's asses. You're not going to be able to do anything without the other person, and it's going to become a problem. It is very important to have your own space, to have something that you also enjoy. You can do something like parallel play, which I know sounds like mutual masturbation. It is not the same thing. Parallel play is just where you're sitting in the same room, and you're both doing something. Like one of you could be reading a book while one's watching TV. You're still enjoying each other's company, but you're having space, and that is a big issue that I see within relationships. Is you'll either have the couples who have nothing in common, so they don't have anything to bond over, or you'll have the couples who have everything in common and it breaks their relationship because they're just too clinged.
Yeah, and this is interpersonal connections in general. Like, if there's someone you really don't fucking like and you can't quite put your finger on it, chances are it's because you have way too much in common, and looking that in the mirror, it typically pisses people off just instinctively. It's like, I don't fucking like you.
So that applies a lot with bad habits. Because I will say, friendship-wise, so when you're making friends, it is important to have a lot in common with them because, stuff to do, versus your partner, which you want to have like a good 50-50 split.
Oh, but I'm talking like too much in common.
So that's what I was saying is a lot of the people that have that moment that they're going headbutting is they're either looking at the having too much in common as competition rather than enjoyment. Because if you can have almost every single thing in common as long as you don't look at it as competition. When it comes to friends, like I said, not relationships, but friends. But it's looking at it kind of like with sex toys we talked about. People thinking it's their competition instead of their buddy, and their helper. And there's also bad habits too. I've noticed a lot of people, if they meet somebody who has the same bad habits as them, they cannot stand them because it is a self-reflection. Like, they're seeing, like, they're like, oh, I can't stand this person. And it's like, it's because they act exactly like you.
You need to do some shadow work, bud.
Like, I had a plob ex-situation. I've talked about this before. That one plob. I dealt with his BS for years because we'd been friends for years before that. Whatever the hell you want to call it. So we had been friends for years, and he always did these certain dick elitist with gaming and all that shit. And I always put up with it as a friend, but then when we were, in a situationship, I one time tested this theory. I got so sick of how he had been acting that I decided to treat him how he'd been treating me. That lasted not even a full 24 hours before he had a fucking meltdown in front of everybody. The grown man. And my bestie was laughing her ass off because she was watching all of this because we were at an event, so we were all in the same Airbnb and stuff, and she watched. It was a point, he had put his hands on me. after I kept telling him to stop, that I wasn't comfortable with him, like, that I was not, wanting to be touched at that time, and he would not stop anyways. And so I snapped, and she watched me snap, and I was like, okay, I got you, bitch. And instead of like raging out at him, I just started treating him how he had treated me for years as in our friendship. And literally the next day, there was a point he had a temper tantrum. This is the one that didn't bathe the entire weekend too, which is why I didn't want him to touch me. He said he wasn't going to bathe unless I had sex with him. And I was like, that's not happening. So he threw a temper tantrum. He's like, oh, you're treating me like this. Maybe I blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I just stood there. I said, oh, so I'm treating you like you've treated me for over a decade.
Fuck. Oh, you put up with that for a decade.
So we were friends for 15 years. We were friends for 15 years, and we were in a situationship for almost a year. He was the friend zone guy. That is one big topic I wanted to talk about in this episode, is the friend zone stuff. So if you
friend zone, oh fuck, it's that guy again. Zone.
Yeah. So that's another thing, is if you say you're in the friend zone, you're probably in the wrong, because here's the thing is, I would jokingly say he was in the friend zone because I was aware that he had been attracted to me in high school and stuff. I was fully aware of that, but we had always just been friends. And he is a prime example of why so many women are afraid to let guys out of the friend zone, because it was a full 360 change when we became, like, those things that he would just do a little bit. Once we were seeing each other for a little bit, that's when suddenly all the shit came out, despite the fact I knew him for 15 years prior to that. I didn't get his true personality, because that's something people need to accept, is there are people who can be the best, sweetest friend ever, and still be a shitty partner, though. Dating somebody and being friends with them are two different things. But friend zone, I see so many fuckboys and plobs refer to themselves as in the friend zone. Here's why this is problematic, is you are implying that you are only around because you think that at some point you're going to have a chance with this person, even if the woman has been very clear that you're not. Guys calling themselves as being in the friend zone really does, like, scream basically, hey, I'm only being friends with this person because I want a chance to fuck at some point.
Yeah, I can't take no for an answer.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. I've been in a situation where, okay, if I catch feelings for a friend, I have to play it cool, because here's the thing. If I tell them, hey, this is how I feel, I am the kind of person that, okay, we're already friends, and if the feeling's not mutual, guess what? I want to be your friend still.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. There's no friend zone there. I had feelings. I got rejected. I'm cool with friendship, and I'm not going to fucking ask again, because I'm not the type to chase, and I don't think anyone should be the type to chase, but beggars can't be choosers, right? But I run the real risk of, even if they know me, because think about your quote-unquote friend here that you've known for a decade. He showed his true colors after the fact, right?
Yep.
And I'm not like that. Well, I mean, I say that now, but at the end of the day, especially if I'm expressing my feelings to a woman who's my friend, right? In the back of her mind, she's going to be worried about what I'm going to do after the rejection, right? So in a way, it doesn't matter if I keep, like, it doesn't matter if I'm consistent with my behavior to show, like, hey, I'm okay with this rejection, we're still friends. Chances are I've already ruined the friendship, right? So
I will say, if you catch feelings for a friend and you decide to have a conversation, sometimes that can lead to, if they reject you, having a little while, taking a break for a little bit from the friendship. But if you handle it properly, you can become friends with them again. I have got two friends who I have rejected, that, came to me, hey, I have a crush on you. And, we did have to take a step back. It was a little awkward for maybe 3 or 4 months, and then after that we've now been friends for years since then. So there is, if you're approaching it properly, and it's another thing where sometimes you don't know, your friend might actually like you back and you have no idea, and they're in the same situation, they're afraid to tell you. So it is okay to have that conversation, but it's going about it properly. It's sitting down.
Here's the thing, like, I'm usually the one giving advice, but like most of my advice comes from women. How should I approach, especially a woman, if I catch feelings for her as a friend?
I would.
What do you think I should approach?
For one, I would have a sit down relationship, and make sure, like you mentioned earlier, there's an out. Make sure there is a time. So you don't want to be like, hey, let's go to a fancy dinner. That's another big thing. Is I really, really highly recommend against sit down restaurants, for like long service sit down restaurants for first dates. When you're trying to date or you're trying to have a conversation, you want it to be an out, because now you don't have to wait on the food and the bill and stuff. If something happens at the very beginning, sitting somewhere, where you can have that private conversation, but they have the opportunity to leave easily. So that's going to depend on the person. Some people, they might think their house is the better option. Also, do not do that at her house. You want her to come to you, so at any point she can feel like she can leave. Right? So, go meet at the park, go meet at the mall, the library, wherever you need to meet, where you have personal space, but it's also easy for them to leave. You never want to have these conversations at their house, because then they're like, well, can you please leave my house? It gets awkward.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing is sitting down, having the conversation, saying, here, I do not expect anything from this. I want to make sure that we remain friends after this, even if it isn't. And I understand if you say no, if you need a break. I understand if you want to have a moment to talk about it, or you want to have a moment to think about it, and then explain to them, yes, I'm attracted to you. I'm finding myself attracted to you. I want to address it now. That way it does not ruin our friendship. Because that's another thing is please don't wait until you are like completely in love with the person. I've known people who will catch feelings in the beginning and then wait 3 years, and then they're like fully engulfed in it. And it's like, oh, buddy.
It feels like a false pretense.
Like, oh, yeah, to wait, yeah.
I've been friends with someone for 5 years, and it's like, I've had a crush on you for all this time. It's like, okay, why didn't you tell me before? Or
Exactly.
Someone catches feelings for me, and they don't tell me for months, but it's like, you're acting really fucking weird around me. And
exactly.
Like, why don't you English at me? Plain English at me. What the fuck's going on? Because you're hiding something from me, and I thought we were friends.
That's another thing is if it is a situation where you're like, hey, if you need time to think about it, or they say they need time to think about it, please, for the love of God, don't go home and text them 2 hours later. Give them a 24-hour period. Let them come to you. Because there are a lot of guys I've seen where a woman's like, I genuinely just want to think about this, and they really do mean they want to think about it. They're not saying no. And I've seen women who are like, oh, I've even had a friend, I watched this basically got to sit and watch this conversation. Her buddy had told her, hey, I have feelings, and she was sitting there, and she came to me, and she's like, can I have a conversation? She was talking about it, right, because they were close friends, and she was like, I just, this is somebody really important to me, I don't want to lose him as a friend, but I am attracted to him. But then he texted her 4 times, more like, and while we were sitting having the conversation, she was like, oh, never mind, now I'm too scared, because he's getting, he's acting like this so quickly, I'm scared that, yeah. So it is important. It's another thing is if you do end up in a relationship with that person, let's say you've made it out of the quote unquote friend zone, and you're having a relationship, and then you get to the point where you're like, okay, I don't think this is working out. You need to address that immediately. Do not wait until you are at each other's throats, hating each other, because when you get to a point where you decide like your feelings are completely gone, I'm not talking about a little rough patch. I mean, this is done, right? Because women especially will stick around for, if this motherfucker, there is a spam motherfucker randomly calling me on Snapchat that I accidentally added some spam. I was trying to add somebody else, and he won't stop calling. I'm about to fucking answer it and fart in the phone or something. Anyways, sorry, it's some weirdo. I know if I answer that call, I guarantee you it's a dick pic.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
I guarantee you it's a dick pic, because that's what I've been dealing with. He's trying to call to flash me. I already know, because I see it all the fucking time. So, I wish this is video recorded, because then I'd be like, oh, since you want to flash me, here you go. Let me show the whole fucking internet. Anyways, so there are a lot of women especially who, and now I understand doing this in a relationship that's a regular relationship and you don't want anything to do with them afterwards, staying around longer until you completely hate them so you will not accidentally fall back into that relationship, and get back with them.
Violently.
At what?
This is how things end violently.
Yes.
Like, for example, with divorces, there's a shit ton of cases where there was no abuse, no violence, no coercive control, no nothing, and then the separation happens,
Yep.
and then coercive control comes in. And like perfectly fine relationships, and you would think that both partners are healthy and good people, and then someone ends up dead.
Yep. But with the
Yeah, and
friends thing,
you're letting it string along.
but also if it's somebody you were friends with, you got into a relationship with, and you still want a friendship with, it is important to go ahead and break that off when you, like I said, there's a difference. There's people who have rough patches and stuff like that, and they get right back on it, which is also important to have those conversations in general, whether you were friends first or not. When you start to have those feelings, to have a conversation with that partner and be like, hey, I'm starting to feel this way, see if it's potentially fixable. But if you're to a point where it is not fixable, it's done. Have that conversation as soon as possible. Don't hold on, because if you do, you're more likely to end on good terms because you've not gotten to the point of hating them. And yeah, you might have to take a little break for a few months before you become friends again, but then you have that open potential to become friends again.
Yeah.
Like
So
it.
Here's the thing, and this is something I want to talk about in one of my next fuckman installments. But let's say
What
the
the fuck?
situation is let's say I catch feelings for a friend, but it's like I still want to be your friend. Like the way I think about this is, again, I don't like false pretenses, and it's like, okay, if I have feelings for this person, I think they're gonna notice. And again, they might get weirded out about that unless I'm just open about it. Is it a good idea for me to just say, hey, this is what the feelings are, even though I just want to be your friend? That way
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a pretense.
Yeah, I would definitely, if you are like, hey, I'm having these feelings, but I still just want to be friends, I would still bring it up, because if not, then it becomes this awkward situation where you're dancing around it, like you said earlier, acting weird towards you.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that communication. It's same thing with like relationships. Like I said, it's important. Communication is like the most important thing with everything. The bedroom, with the faking, moaning, and stuff like that. The friendships, relationships, is that having that communication and not holding back is the big thing. Like I said, you don't want to meet somebody and on the first date you're telling them your fucking lifelong trauma. But you do want to be open and honest and upfront with stuff, but ease into the more depth things. Your first date should not end with your entire life story being told to this person. But you don't want to. You also don't want to be like super cold and be like your entire conversation is, well, what's your favorite color? Like, come on, man. You want something of substance, but yeah, communication is the biggest part. That is the biggest thing. A lot of issues with guys not being able to get girlfriends or relationships ending, it almost always boils back to communication in one way or another. Whether it's direct communication or something that has happened because of lack of communication in the past. It's important to have these boundaries. Like we were talking about porn earlier. Some people consider porn to be cheating and some people don't. Or, some people are like, hey, just don't be, subbing to my best friend's OF. Like my sister's baby daddy subbed to my OF, and that was a whole issue. Lord, I about beat that man's ass myself. So there's, limits, right? There's limits. And it's important to have those conversations because not everybody's going to feel the same way about everything. You could have had a girlfriend that thought one thing was great, and the next girlfriend thinks something else is great. Not doing this textbook thing, the whole flowers and stuff. Oh, I see the flowers things. It's not that I've seen people get upset. Guys get upset. Well, I bought her flowers and she didn't love them. And then you find out she's kind of like me, where I could kill a plastic plant from the Dollar Tree because it's ironic because I come from a family of farmers. I'm the only one that is like this. So that 75-cent chocolate bar would have meant more than those $20 flowers because you remembered her favorite flower. I always tell people a cheat code in relationships is have a note on their contact and write down their favorite restaurants, write down their favorite colors, their favorite flowers, their favorite candy bar, their favorite drink. These little tiny things, you could literally spend $2, one on a soda and one on a 50-cent, 75-cent candy bar, and you just got yourself a blowjob.
Yeah, I carry a notebook with me everywhere I go, and yeah, there's quite a few pages full of, my favorite
I even do that with my friends and stuff. Yeah, like I'll have what scents they like from Bath and Body Works, what they order from restaurants, because that's another thing. That's another big one. I see guys who are like, oh, she's never in the mood. Dude, you could have spent $5 at Taco Bell and she would have sucked your dick because you not only surprised her with food, but you remembered what she liked because you put it in your notes app.
Yep.
It is.
Especially for the forgetful type. Like my notebook, that's basically half my brain at this point.
Same. Because I'm so bad at stuff. Yeah, it's little things like that. It's not, and I see guys who think, oh, you got to buy her diamond ring and a fancy dress and all this fancy stuff, when realistically, most women, I say most women, don't get me wrong, there are gold diggers out there. Also, to be clear, there's a difference in a gold digger and a sugar baby. I have no problem with sugar babies, because sugar babies are the kind that have a conversation. They're like, hey, you're rich and old, I want money, you want young sex, and they will make an agreement, right? They make an agreement. Everybody is consenting and knows what they're getting. Okay, the sugar daddy knows that she doesn't love him. He fully knows. A gold digger, on the other hand, is the girl that's going to pretend to love you, right? They're going to be like, oh, yeah, I love you for your personality. Definitely not for the money. And then they actually love you for the money. And it's like, no, fuck that. Like I said, sugar babies are consensual. Gold diggers are just assholes.
Yeah, and if we've learned anything today, like, the big takeaway should be pretenses are fucking gross.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that the whole only being friends with somebody because you think you're gonna get laid. The word friend zone in the first place. Also, last side note, if you call yourself a nice guy, that is a red flag. There's a massive red flag. If you're friends, if you are a genuinely nice guy, and a female friend of yours is calling you a nice guy, that's going to get you somewhere. Because that is real opinion. But if you're calling yourself a nice guy, because so many aren't, and I'm not saying that every single one of them is bad, there are some genuinely nice guys that just don't understand how bad it sounds to say that they're a nice guy. But most of the guys you see are calling themselves a bad guy or a nice guy are shit, and that's where the problem comes in. But if you have a female friend that says you're a nice guy, that's going to get you... So that's opening the door, baby, because that means you genuinely are.
Yeah, and like a little test I like to do is, like, the nice guys, they're not just predatory to women, they are predatory with most of their friendships. So it's like, if someone tells me how nice they are, even I could, like, set, like, a fake boundary or tell them a fake trigger just to see if they'll try to cross that, or I'll just find a situation where I end up telling them no, just to see how they react.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. There's so many times where it's like, I will do like a miniature. I'll ease my way into something to see how they're gonna react. So not like all at once, but ease my way in to see how they'll react to certain scenarios. Asking hypotheticals. That's another thing, is a lot of people. So 20 questions is not what 20 questions is supposed to be, but there's like where they'll ask each other questions back and forth in the dating scene, which that's not what 20 questions is. 20 questions is a game, but a lot of people call that 20 questions. I highly recommend. There's all kinds of like card sets and stuff out there. Like there's the one I like is like, it's called Deeper. I know it sounds dirty, it's not, but like asking better, more in depth. I mean, yeah, there is a level that's more intimate, but the rest of them are just having meaningful conversations rather than small talk.
Yeah.
If you are interested in someone, a woman is also going to be way more interested in you if you are asking meaningful questions instead of the same small talk bullshit that every other man is asking. Every other man asks that. If they go on a dating app, if I were to open up a dating app right now, I would find hundreds of the exact same questions over and over again.
Yeah. Like a big thing though, like, yeah, this whole deep conversation and stuff, this works even for like one night stands. Like, unless someone really wants like anonymous sex or something like that, even for a hookup, getting into that deep conversation, really digging into their mind, seeing what makes them tick. Yeah, you're going to be a lot more successful there.
Oh, final thing. I know I said final thing earlier, but this reminded me because you said the one night stand. Aftercare, even in one night stands. Aftercare is still
Yeah.
important. Having a conversation, sitting, if you're just watching a movie, you don't have to be cuddled up or anything. Like, some people prefer to cuddle, some people prefer to have a snack after. Some people just want to sit there with that person and watch an episode or something. Even with one night stands, it is extremely important. I have known guys who, so here's a fun little fact. Women talk to each other. Women talk to each other, as you guys have discovered with like the T app. I have watched men be able to, who only want hookups, right? Because they're in whatever situation, they only want hookups. And they will get 100 times more pussy than any other freaking man because they sat and watched it. He'll go and sit and watch an episode after them or something, and they start recommending them to their friends. Women will recommend you to their friends. I kid you not.
And that's why, like, when I sleep with women, it's like, listen, do not talk about my performance unless you know damn well they're my type, because I'm not a fan of rejecting people, that tends to piss people off, but make sure they're actually my type before you tell them anything, because they are going to slide into my DMs.
Yeah, there's
and I want to be prepared.
And I will admit, sometimes it becomes disrespectful, and I do have to say something to women. I'm like, come on, let's not get too disrespectful with it, because I have a long history with women. When I was in active alcoholism, I hit I hit three digits within 8 months. I'd slept with over 100 women, and that was back in 2014. I actually do not know how many women I've been with at this point, because that was over a decade ago when I hit triple digits, and I just decided to stop counting with women. But I had women give reviews for me and were passing me around like I was a rose toy off of Amazon. So there's a way to be respectful about it, ladies. Like, I understand we share with your friends and stuff and be like, yeah, this guy is great and I recommend him. But just try to be a little bit more respectful about it, because it's super awkward. Super, super awkward to get DMs, that are vulgar. Like, if your friend says, hey, I hooked up with this guy and he was great, he was super respectful, did aftercare, and you're going to message them, be like, hey, I'm friends with this person, can we have a conversation? Don't just start with, hey, you want to fuck?
Yeah, no.
What? What'd that mouth do?
Hey, bitch, you want some fuck? Like, I've only ever used that line once, and that was not a first conversation.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. Well, we're like 20 minutes over, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Is there, you want to state your username again, just to make sure?
Yeah, so that's church.of.lizard.brain.
Okay. And I will have that in the bio of this, too, in the descriptor.
Yeah, and you can also look up the fuckman or fuckman chronicles hashtag, and that's FUQ, not the proper spelling.
Yeah, because TikTok. Yeah.
They don't like the real thing. So, yeah. You're gonna post the hashtag on your podcast as well, right?
Yeah, I posted in the bio.
That's how you can find the real stuff. And if anyone's interested in my, white-splaining things to white people, just look up white-splaining. You'll find me there. I'm gonna be the white guy with long blonde hair. Can't miss me.
It's so funny to hear the word white splaining. I mean, I know what you meant. I've had to do it before, but it's so funny to hear that word, the white splaining.
Yeah, you would think it's kind of like mansplaining, where